Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Shanna Lee Charbonneau. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Hey, welcome this evening. I am so glad to be able to have the time to talk with Greg Kelso today. He is an author and amazing. So welcome, Greg.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
So we have a couple of things that we really want to talk about today. And I want to kind of start out, and it probably goes back, a couple of years when you started creating an entire fantasy universe.
Yes, Alonica.
Yeah.
Actually, I started creating that while I was going through my chemotherapy.
Well, I mean, if you have to do something to kind of avoid all of that horribleness, I think you hit a really good way to do it, because Alonica is amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. It all came together. I believe in energy follows thought, and when I was writing it and doing my fight scenes, I pictured that was actually them fighting the cancer.
There you go. And obviously that's been going pretty well for you, so that's a blessing.
10 years.
And I hope many more. Now, you've always liked fantasy worlds. I mean, yes, you focused on the writing because you needed something to put you into another place. But you started liking fantasy when you were very young.
Yes, I actually started playing Dungeons and Dragons at about age 9 and 10.
There you go. So a lot of that comes through in your stories.
Yes, very much so.
Which I personally like, because I like that same time frame. So we're good with that. So you have some very interesting covers on the Alonica series. And right now there's 2 books in this series, correct?
Correct. There is 2, and I am working on the 3rd.
But you had the covers done by an amazing graphic artist, and one that I hadn't heard of. And not only that, but you've actually achieved some awards. Do you want to kind of go into that a little bit?
Yes, Jenna Whitaker is my illustrator. She actually lives in Queensland, Australia, I believe it is. And for Alonica, Rise of the Dragonaires actually got book cover of the year at Houston Writers Guild for 2018. And Alonica Splitting Heirs got book cover of the month for March in 2019.
I mean, that's 2 back-to-back covers, and you hit it.
Yes. She's amazing. And the great thing is I tell her my ideas, and she almost comes back with them pinpoint the first time. There's always a little bit of adjustments, but she's very good with the detail that you give her.
And so, again, I think people need to take a look at these covers, unless you have one there that you can kind of hold up. I think it's just amazing.
I don't know if you can see it. It's poster in the back right there.
There you go. Yep, that was the one that really struck me. I thought that was just amazing. So tell me a little bit about how you made this story come together and create this series.
Well, like I said, I just really pictured a lot of it fighting the cancer, and I just started it out. I knew, as always, you have to have an introduction to your characters, and I just really wrote that out. And then all of a sudden, it's just like it took over, and I just started typing. And within, I think it was 6 weeks, I had the story typed out without the edits. But the edits was another few months along, as always.
Well, now, other than, playing Dungeons and Dragons and having this real focus to get a story written, had you really done any writing before then? Was that something that your education background or anything like that?
Not really. I did do a poetry contest in '99, and I got an Editor's Choice Award, but that was it for my
Well,
writing. Thank you.
okay, so you just kind of had this time on your hands and you could fantasize and create. Now you've got 2 books in the series. So are the characters the same in both books?
Yes, they are the same. I have them all coming together, and then I have them splitting apart and then merging back together. But one of my favorite things is plot twists. I always love to add plot twists.
Okay. So who's your main character in the first book?
The main character is focused around Zintar, and basically he finds out that he's actually half dragon, half human. And the main thing that they do is they actually have the ability of the dragon. Like if it's a blue dragon, they can control the water element. Red dragon, fire. I think I'm using like amethyst as an ethereal. Brown dragon would be earth. Green would be air. So it really depends on the color, depends on the element that they can control.
Okay, and your main character Zintar, what is his main element, or does he have all of them?
No, he's blue, which is water.
Okay.
But I do have it where, like I said, Zintar was the main character, but I try to focus it around all the characters so it's not just one main character. Let's say 5 different main characters in the story going along.
Okay. So in the first book, he's finding out what's going on, and we're not going to give any of the story away, but it's certainly full of a lot of tension, and as you said, a lot of plot twists. So it's very unexpected as you're going through. You can't guess the end of this story.
No, and I like leaving the question marks also, so it keeps the attention going. Unfortunately, I don't write that fast now, so it's harder to get them out, and I have to do a lot of research back and forth between the books to make sure I don't mess anything up with the storyline. So I do a lot of rereading.
Okay. And that's always a good thing, right? The more you write and the more you reread, the better you get.
Yeah, I actually sit down with my editor and actually go through the editing process. So I learn a lot through that editing process, and as each book has progressed, the errors have been less and less, which I enjoy.
Well, that's it. You just get better, right? It's like any other habit. You practice it and you get better at it.
I agree with that totally.
So, how did you find your editor? Because I know a lot of new authors or people that would like to pursue that. Editing is you'd like to think that you are perfect when you write something or type something, and that you don't need a second pair of eyes and sometimes a third, fourth, and fifth pair of eyes. So how did you find your editor?
Actually, my editor is my aunt, who has a master's in English. I want to make sure I got that right, but she has a master's or doctorate in English literature.
Okay.
And I feel that, I don't know if it's just me being family, that she's a little bit more tougher on me than she would anybody else, which I'm actually hoping she would be, because I like getting the mistakes and making sure that they're gone.
Right. And not repeat them, right?
And not repeat them. So it is a learning process. And I think she enjoys reading the story as we're going along, and then seeing the errors, fixing them, and saying, hey, and then, oh, you did much better this time than you did last time. So I like that. It makes me feel confident in what I'm doing.
Well, very good. And I know that you're still in the Houston area, right?
Yes, just slightly north, but in the Houston area.
Okay. And so your aunt is close, or do you guys do this like virtually?
She lives in the Woodlands, so I can actually just drive over there with everything.
Okay. Now, I know from talking with you before that, you're kind of working on book number 3 right now in this series. Before we talk about book number 3, book number 2, Rise of the Dragon Heirs, is really the second one, right?
Rise of the Dragon Heirs is book 1.
Oh, it is.
Splitting Heirs is book 2.
Oh, Splitting Heirs. Okay. And I thought that was really cute because it's not hairs, it's really heirs, as in the next generation kind of thing. I thought that was really clever. So is that where they kind of like need to find their own way, as sisters often do?
Basically, they're finding their own way. They're going on their own paths. They're searching for each one has a different goal. And then they basically split up, but in the end, they have to return together to work together.
So are they doing that from their human side or from their dragon side? Or
I would say coming together would be more of the human side, because you picture the dragons being a little bit more greedy and selfish and self-centered in Dungeons and Dragons anyway. But
right.
I actually gave some of the dragons their own personality, where some are good and some are evil, and they basically, like, they fell in love with the human counterpart, and they had the magic where they could turn themselves into human, what I call the ancient magic in the book.
Okay. So, I mean, that's really neat. And so you have this wonderful, next step kind of thing. So where's the third one going to take people, if we can be so presumptuous?
Well, I left the second one in a dark side, and basically they're going to have to go through a little bit more retraining and learning some of their abilities, getting more focused with their inner dragon, I guess you could say.
Ooh, I like that.
And then, of course, some of the characters have been killed off, not any of the main characters, but some of them have been killed off. And so I got to bring in a couple of new characters to help focus that and bring everything back together to face the final foe.
So I think your process is just amazing. And the stories are really geared to what age group?
Young adult, 12 to probably 18, but I've had several adults definitely reading and enjoying the story.
So anyone that likes Dungeons and Dragons would enjoy these stories, and that's a lot older than what you just said.
Yes, but I do generally write for the young adult genre so they can get interested in reading.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great contribution. So do you have a lot of reviews from that, Jen?
Actually, most of my reviews are the adults.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Most of my reviews are the adults, and I'm sitting at 4.5 rating for Alonica, Rise of the Dragon Heirs.
Very nice. So unfortunately, we're about done with this segment. I want to take a break for our sponsors. And when we come back, I want to explore the new genre that you're also writing in. So stick around, Greg.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? I'm Charlotte Kenyon, award-winning author of the book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. That was a question I had to ask myself some 16 years ago, and you'll have to ask the same question. I had a father-in-law with dementia, a mother with Alzheimer's, and a dad with Parkinson, all at the same time.
We Fiction is a fun, fast-paced writing contest for any author team to create a book based on what readers submit for plot, characters, locations, and even plot twists. Learn more about this unique contest at wefiction.dearindy.org. The 5th annual Authors Marketing Event is coming to Granbury, Texas, July 24th through the 27th. Join us and learn from the professionals how to properly market and sell yourself and your books. Go to ame.authorsmarketingguild.com for all the details. That's ame.authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
And welcome back. I'm with Greg Kelso. He's the author of the Alonica series, which we were talking about. And we may go back to that in a little bit. But I think one of the most interesting things is that you have a gentleman who is into fantasy who recently wrote what?
A Western.
A Western?
A Western.
So how did you go from, that's a huge shift.
Well, actually, it was quite interesting because I was actually I don't want to say a contest, but I put on several sites because I also have a historical fiction that I'm thinking about writing. And I put, well, okay, let people decide. So I put on there, do they want a Western with a female sheriff or a historical fiction? And the response was overwhelming for the female sheriff in the Western.
Wow. That's kind of out of character from that period of time. I want to know how you're going to pull that off.
Well, it is on Amazon right now.
Okay. And when was it released?
It was released November 2019.
Okay. And what's the name of this one?
It is actually, let's see if I can hold it up. I don't think the light's good, but it's Tess, Lawwoman of the West.
Okay. So Tess Lawwoman of the West is based where?
I don't have a specific location yet. I just put it in the Old West where Cattle Trail was and left it at that.
Okay.
I didn't want to put any real location.
So is this a novel length like the others, or is it a little shorter? Or how did you construct this one?
This one is actually a novella. It's very short, but busted it out real quick. Enjoyed the story, enjoyed writing it.
Okay.
And it was just a thrill putting it together.
Oh, that's good. You know, I have found that a lot of times when people are writing, one of the things that authors try to do is get some beta readers or pre-readers. Now, I know your aunt is your editor for you, but do you have other people that do take a read and give you, pointers or feedback before you actually publish?
I usually do that through my critique group that I'm part of. I actually have them read it and listen to their ideas and their critiques, whether they like it or not.
Okay.
So I do it a lot through the critiques, and then I get a good response and it's like, okay, let's go with this.
So for up and coming authors, is that a path that you would recommend to go through, like writers group and critique groups?
I would definitely recommend writers groups and critique groups. It got me through a lot, got me interested, got me knowing everything. There's people out there that will always help you.
So Tess is in the West. Are you going to do more with Tess?
Tess, I'm not quite sure, but I am thinking about writing. I have a bounty hunter in the book. I'm thinking about writing a side story with him and then maybe doing a third one with them together again.
Ah, there you go. A little romance thing going on. So you had to do quite a bit of research for the Western though, right? I mean, that was a real focus that you and I had kind of chatted about.
Yes, I did a lot of research on how they did the land grants back then. Basically, they were sent out and they actually had to apply for an application before going out, and then they could go to like the city or town's mayor or whoever was in charge, and then they would get the grants to work the land for so many years. Or they could actually go there and buy it from the mayor or, like I said, whoever was in charge. But they did have a lot of theft back then regarding the land.
A lot of theft of the land or the rights to the land or what?
The rights, they were called the land grabbers.
Ah, okay.
And they would do that. And I also had to do research on the types of weapons, how many bullets certain guns can hold, rifles could hold, how they were loaded into the chamber.
So readers of this are what age group? I know your fantasy is for young adult. Where's this one?
I always keep it with young adult.
Okay. So you're actually a Actually giving them a little bit of a history lesson at the same time, if you're talking about how land grants were done and weaponry and that kind of thing. That's kind of
A
interesting.
little bit, yes. I mean, like I said, it was more, my main focus was the land with the history, trying to get that as proper as could be.
So, when you think of Westerns, at least for people like me, I always think of the sheriff being this tough old guy wearing his 10-gallon hat and that kind of thing. So Tess is a whole different kind of breed of sheriff in the West.
Yes, it is something completely different. And like I said, I wanted what people thought of, and it's like, I can do it. Let's put it together. And
so where did you get the idea, though, for the character development for Tess? Because, I mean, Annie Oakley is like the most well-known Western, football hero. Or
I actually put it together through two characters that came to mind, both from John Wayne movies. One was from True Grit, Maddie Ross, and the other one was from El Dorado, and that was Joey. Both had the arrogant and cocky attitude that I thought could really fit in for a character like this.
So being a sheriff in the Wild West probably was a tough job for anyone. For a woman, it was probably extra tough. Does she face some extra trials and tribulations in this novella that would really?
Yes.
Okay.
She goes through a lot in this. Like I said, it's, to me, a very short story compared to the novel.
Right.
But she goes through a lot, and it goes back and forth through her past to the present. I try to keep everything corresponding to what she might be going through next. Everything's a learning experience for her.
Oh, that's good. That's exciting. It makes it good for young adults too, because they're all in their learning mode.
Very true.
So now I know that the first book, you wrote it very quickly. You were going through a lot of things at that point in time. How about the novella? Did you write that as quickly because it just flowed, or?
Did it somewhat quickly. It did flow together. I had a few problems trying to, I guess my main concern is how do people feel about going from seeing to the past, going from present to past, present to past, present to past.
Okay.
And I was wondering how a lot of people would feel about that. And I've actually gotten several good responses. Of course, I think I have one review on Goodreads, but that's about it. But I have people tell me that they enjoy it. So one of the main things that I wish people would do would definitely leave a review.
Boy, I so agree with that. That's very true. And I don't know how to promote more reviews other than to really put something at the end of the book. Now that you've finished this wonderful story, please take 5 minutes and leave me a review and just kind of give them that last reminder.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've written two very different genres. You may write another novella in the Western kind of framework.
Yes.
Do you have kind of rattling around in there that you want to creatively get down on paper?
I do want to do the historical fiction.
Okay.
That's the one, which will be yet another genre, another learning experience, learning about, I think I'm going to go to World War II era, go to that time period. So I'll be learning a lot from that. And I think where it's going to be based at is going to be Czechoslovakia.
Why there?
Well, they have what they call the unfinished bridges that were never finished, that Hitler regime started. And I want to go into why it wasn't finished. But it's going to be more, like I said, historical fiction. So I might add a little bit of a fantasy element to it, a little bit of a mystery, trying to figure something out.
Okay. That'll be exciting. So now you've got these three kinds of things going on. So do you write full time?
Right now, yes, I write full time.
Lucky
That's
you.
basically what I do now.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know that you also served 4 years in the Navy. Did that kind of give you some background for some of this research and some of this exploring the world, past, present, and future?
I learned a lot when I was in the military. Pay attention to detail, which they really drill into you no matter what branch you're in. But I learned a lot of the history, like in Hong Kong and Singapore, Australia, all the places that I've been to.
I think that's fascinating. So we're going to come up to another break. And when we come back, Greg, I'd kind of like to focus on upcoming events, how people can reach out, that kind of stuff. So will you stick around?
I definitely will.
Thank you. I'm Rox Burkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors, Brakefield and Burkey, of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Hi, I'm Rox Burkey, and welcome back. I'm with Greg Kelso, author of the Alonica series, author of Tess, a very, very busy gentleman. Greg, thanks for this evening so far. This has been great.
Enjoy being here.
So in this part, I really want to talk about some of the ways that people can reach out to you and get a hold of you, especially if they want to maybe have a little bit more insight into the Alonica series or into the Western series at this point. Is there a really good way they can reach out?
I do have a website, which is gmkelso.com, and there is a link on there where they can email me. They can actually buy copies of the books, which I will sign and ship to them.
Okay.
But I also do events as much as possible. I think my next event right now is in Lake Charles, which will be CypherCon. Of course, I'll do Comic Palooza in Houston. I'll do Eastern Rim, which is in April. And every December, I go to Second and Charles in
What is
Conroe.
that?
I enjoy the atmosphere, the people there, the managers are wonderful.
Okay.
So my first time there was wonderful experience. And I said, well, I'm just right before Christmas, like 2 weeks before Christmas, I'm just basically set to have books and signing there.
Oh, that's awesome. So you have a lot of events coming up. Where can people see those events? Are you like posting them on your website or on Facebook or?
I do have them on Facebook and on my website. I don't think I've updated my event page yet, but I will be doing that this weekend. But I'm also an author, G M Kelso, at Facebook.
Okay.
And I do periodic updates of how far I've written on my books and let people know, all right, start expecting it. Then I'll do a cover reveal.
Oh, that's kind of fun. So you do a cover reveal. How far in advance of your book?
Usually about a month and a half.
Okay. You know, when I was doing research before we got on here and before you and I chatted, I mean, I've seen you listed as G space M space Kelso, GM space Kelso, and Greg Kelso. So what's the best way to find you?
GM Kelso is the best way to find me.
Okay. So GM Kelso is the best way to find you. Also, if you are on, I know your books are available where?
on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Ingram Spark for anybody else that can get it through them.
Okay. So that's in ebook and paperback?
Ebook and paperback.
What about Audible? Have you thought about doing your books in an Audible format?
I've done a little bit of research on that, and I'm thinking about it, but 13 hours on an average read of somebody who wants 150 to 200 an hour, I gotta set my limits before I can do something like that.
Okay, that's understandable. So I know that people can buy the books off your website. You'll personalize them and you'll say, hey, you know, this is for you, John, from Greg Kelso, and enjoy this story. But people can't actually get them personalized, and it's you that's signing them, not just somebody in the back room, right?
Correct. That is me. For my website, it is definitely me.
Anybody else would be a fraud, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I mean, this has been so much fun. I don't know where else we can go and not really run out of time, but you know, the Alonzo series, book 1 and book 2 are available, and that is Rise of the Dragonaires and Splitting of the Heirs.
Splitting Heirs.
Splitting Heirs. And then
Yes.
And then Tess is your Western.
Yes.
And when's your next one coming out?
I'm not going to say when, but I am in the process of writing. So
Okay.
after the writing is, of course, the edit. And then after the edit, I'll probably go through and reread it one more time before I say yes or no, it's ready.
And if you were going to give one piece of advice to an up-and-coming author, what would you tell them?
Trust in yourself. Whether somebody says it's bad or not, just because one person said it's bad doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to think that it's great. Never go through with one opinion. Just trust in yourself.
Hey, that's great advice for everybody. And getting a good writers group, that'll help you get that confidence too, right?
Yes, it will. And a lot of times that those people will work with you and not just cut you down. They will work with you.
There you go. Greg, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I totally appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you soon at your next event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with the host, B. Alan Bourgeois. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Alan Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Alan Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord.